My father-in-law told me I was like a son. He hugged me every Christmas. Then when I lost my job, he called a family meeting without me and said, "He's draining us. Cut him loose." I found out when my wife canceled my health insurance without telling me. "You should have tried harder," she said. That night, I packed my things, but I didn't go far. 3 weeks later, I married into the Bailey family 13 years ago. We lived in Rochester, New York. Not a flashy city, but it's where I was born and raised. Rachel and I met through a coworker when I was still working at Bingham Logistics. We hit it off fast. She liked that I was steady, responsible. I liked that she was funny, ambitious, and always looking sharp. We were in our early 30s when we got married. No kids. Just a small house, a dog, and what I thought was a good life. Her dad, Steve Bailey, was the kind of guy who filled a room when he walked in. Ex-Marine. Ran a small HVAC business. The kind of man who looked you right in the eye when he talked. First time I met him, he sized me up like I was a new recruit. Then he smiled, slapped my shoulder, and said, "You seem solid." After we got married, every Christmas he'd hand me a bourbon, wrap me in a hug, and say, "You're like the son I never had." He did have a son, actually, Jake, but I guess that was just one of Steve's ways of showing affection. I believed him. Rachel worked real estate part-time. I handled the rest, bills, home repairs, groceries. I never complained. I was raised to do my part without making noise about it. Then the pandemic hit, and I got laid off. Not right away. They kept me through 2021, but by December, they were slashing payroll and I was out. I'd been there nearly a decade. No warning. Just a meeting, a handshake, and a cardboard box with my name on it. I told Rachel that night. She didn't say much. Just, "That sucks," and went back to her phone. I figured it would be temporary. I started applying the next day. Everything from warehouse gigs to delivery routes. I even tried driving Uber for a bit, but my car was too old for their platform. I picked up work where I could, fixing fences, cleaning out basements, hauling junk. Rachel stopped asking how the search was going. She also stopped touching me. No kisses. No good nights. Just cold silence. Months passed. I was still out of full-time work. Bills piled up. I used my severance for mortgage payments and groceries. Steve helped cover our health insurance for a few months, but I never asked for that. Rachel did. I found out later. Then one Thursday morning, in the dead of winter, I got a letter from our health provider saying my policy had been canceled. No explanation. I brought it up that night. "Yeah," she said flatly. "We had to cut it. Dad said it was too much." "Too much?" "Yeah. You're not working. He said you're draining everyone." He had a family meeting. We agreed it was time. We? What family meeting? She shrugged. "Last Sunday. Jake, Natalie, my parents. You weren't invited." I was stunned. "You let them talk about me like that?" She stared at me like I'd asked a dumb question. "You should have tried harder, that's all." Something in me broke. Not just from her words, but her face. There was no guilt. No sadness. It was like she was telling me the weather. I realized right then, she was done. Probably had been for a while. I packed a duffel bag that night. Just clothes, my wallet, and a few essentials. She didn't try to stop me. Didn't even ask where I was going. I didn't go far. My uncle had an old RV sitting behind his auto shop off Route 104. I called him, asked if I could stay in it for a bit. He didn't ask questions, just said yes and left a key in the glove box. It was freezing cold. The heater barely worked, and the insulation was crap. But I made it work. Thermos of hot coffee in the morning, hot dogs, or canned chili at night. I kept a pair of binoculars by the window and watched the street near my old house. I wasn't stalking, I just wanted to see how quickly she moved on. If she even noticed I was gone. 3 weeks passed. Then something happened. Steve's HVAC business got hit with a fine. A big one. Someone had reported him for cutting corners on a few installations, stuff I'd seen years ago but kept quiet about. Faulty ductwork, missing permits. At the time, I didn't think it was my place to say anything. Apparently, someone else did. Then Jake's wife Natalie got caught stealing listings from another agent and lost her real estate license. The same agency Rachel worked for. Word was Rachel got questioned too, but swore she didn't know anything. Her clients started dropping her. One morning, I saw Steve outside my old house, yelling into his phone. He looked like hell. I almost felt bad. Almost. Because none of that was a coincidence. None of what happened to the Baileys in those weeks was random. I'm not a vengeful man by nature, but something snapped in me the night Rachel looked me dead in the eye and said, "You should have tried harder." She wanted me gone. They all did. But they forgot something important: I was quiet, not weak. During my time at Bingham Logistics, I got good at finding information. Databases, internal reports, chain of custody records. I used to track down missing inventory worth thousands. And when things got slow in the RV, I started digging. Steve's HVAC business had a thin online footprint, but I found old inspection reports in city records. A few red flags. One permit application had my name signed as the on-site supervisor for a job in Irondequoit. Thing is, I'd never been to that site. He forged my name. That was mistake number one. Rachel's real estate records were easier. Public listings, transactions, commissions. Everything was online. One of her listings used interior photos I took when I helped her stage a home for her client back in 2020. She used them again in 2022 for a totally different property without credit or permission. That's copyright infringement. I still had the originals saved. Then there was Natalie. Turns out she was using a dummy email to siphon client leads from a rival agency. She'd forward the contacts to herself, then call them pretending to be an independent consultant. That was more than just shady, it was grounds for investigation. I compiled what I found. Screenshots. Emails. Records. All backed up, all neat. And then I waited. The report about Steve's permit violations? I sent that anonymously to the city's building inspection office. Along with photos and copies of job reports with my forged signature. Natalie's scheme? I created a burner email and sent everything I had to her agency's legal team. Rachel's photo theft? I sent the originals, along with proof of the timestamps, to the brokerage's compliance office. I didn't say a word to anyone. Just sat in that cold RV and watched their lives spin out. Day by day. And it wasn't over. Because just as they were dealing with those hits, I heard from a guy I used to know at Bingham. His brother ran a small moving and cleanup company on the other side of town. He needed help. Steady work, under the table for now, but honest and decent. I said yes. That same week, I ran into Rachel by accident at a grocery store. She looked thinner, stressed. She almost didn't recognize me. "Hey," she said, awkwardly. "Hey. How've you been?" I smiled. Trying harder. Her face went red. "That's not what it's exactly what you said," I cut in. "I was draining you, right? So you cut me loose. Seems like things aren't going so great now." She stared at me for a second, then said, "Did you have something to do with it?" I didn't answer. Just looked her in the eye until she turned away. I could have walked off then. But I wasn't done. There was still one piece left. Steve. I had something else on him. Something bigger. Years ago, at a Bailey family barbecue, Steve got drunk and bragged to me about how he massaged his taxes. Claimed his business was lean, but he had a second ledger hidden. "That's how you survive in this damn state," he said. I didn't care back then. I do now. And I had a plan to use it. Steve had no idea I remembered that night. He was buzzed off whiskey, going on about how the IRS was a scam and only suckers paid full freight. He told me his accountant was a magician, and that if I ever needed creative advice, he'd hook me up. I laughed it off back then, thinking it was just drunk talk. But I remembered. And more importantly, I remembered the name he dropped, Arnie in Fairport. Best damn tax guy east of the Mississippi. Took me 2 days to track down Arnie. Turns out he'd been under investigation before, back in 2015, for helping small business owners fudge deductions. No charges stuck, but the IRS had him flagged. I called the IRS fraud hotline, left an anonymous tip: Steve Bailey, Bailey Climate Services, suspected tax fraud, possible off-book ledger, possible collusion with Arnie, last name omitted here, based in Fairport. Then I sat back and waited. Meanwhile, I kept working. Every day I showed up for the moving company. I was rebuilding, bit by bit. I didn't tell anyone where I was staying. Not even my parents. I wasn't ready for that conversation. Not yet. Then one morning, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number: "Did you do this to my dad?" Jake, I didn't reply. Not because I was scared, because I wanted him to sit with that question. I wanted the doubt to gnaw at him. These people held a secret meeting to talk about me like I was trash. They canceled my insurance and cut me off like I was a stranger. Now they were looking around, confused, trying to figure out how the walls were closing in. Then something unexpected happened. Rachel showed up at the mechanic shop. She waited by the RV until I came back from work, standing in the cold with her arms folded, like she was trying to prove something. "I need to talk," she said. I didn't invite her in. Just leaned against the truck and waited. She looked nervous. "I think we made a mistake." "No. You made a decision. Not a mistake." Her eyes started to water. I was scared. My family pressured me. I didn't know what else to do. Bullshit. You knew exactly what you were doing. You didn't even flinch. She stepped closer. "I miss you. I think I made a mistake choosing them over you." There it was. The first crack. The real fear. Because everything around her was burning down, and I wasn't there to carry the weight anymore. I stayed quiet. Then she said something that knocked the wind out of me. "Jake wants to sue you." I raised an eyebrow. "For what?" "He thinks you hacked his email. Says you exposed Natalie. Says he can prove it." I almost laughed. "Tell him to go ahead. Let's see what comes out in court." She swallowed hard. "Please, just stop whatever you're doing. This is all getting out of hand." That's when I realized she wasn't here for me. She wasn't sorry. She was scared. Scared that more was coming. And she was right to be. Because Steve? He hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. I didn't say another word to Rachel that night. Just turned and walked back into the RV. I heard her call my name once, then nothing. I waited until I saw her car drive away before I let myself breathe again. She wanted me to stop? That was rich. They had a family meeting about me. Behind my back. They erased me from the picture and expected silence in return. But I wasn't done yet. A week later, I got a letter addressed to the RV. Odd, since no one should have known I was there. It was from the IRS. Not about Steve, but about me. Apparently, I was listed as a consultant on Bailey Climate Services tax return in 2021, earned income one never reported. Because I never got it. Steve had claimed he paid me for work I never did. Probably thought it would help him write off more deductions. And now I was being looked at for tax fraud. It all clicked then. Steve had used my name, my social security number. Information I'd given him when he co-signed a loan for us a few years back. He'd crossed the line from betrayal to felony. That night, I called a lawyer. Told him everything. Sent over the documents. He was stunned. Said, "You've got a serious case here. Identity theft, fraud, defamation, it's more than civil. It's criminal." It felt like a weight lifted off my chest. For the first time since I left the house, I had someone on my side with power. The next move was risky. I walked into Bailey Climate Services 2 days later. It was early morning, snow still fresh on the ground. I wore a plain black jacket, gloves, and boots. Steve was behind the front desk, talking to a guy in coveralls. He looked up. Froze. "You got some nerve showing up here," he said. I smiled. "We need to talk." He stood up. "You need to leave." "You used my name on a tax return," I said, loud enough for his employee to hear. "Claimed you paid me. IRS thinks I committed fraud. So no. I'm not leaving." His face turned red. "You better shut your damn mouth." "Or what? You'll call another family meeting?" The guy in coveralls looked like he wanted to disappear. I leaned in, just enough so only Steve could hear. "You've got 48 hours to contact the IRS and admit you falsified those documents. Or I go public. To the press, to the police. Your call." I left before he could answer. Let him stew. I didn't want money. I didn't want his apology. I wanted every person in that family to understand who they messed with. That night, I got another text from Rachel. "Dad's losing it. What are you doing?" I didn't reply. The next morning, someone egged the RV. I had a good guess who. I called the lawyer again, and we filed a formal complaint against Steve for identity theft. My lawyer said the IRS was already opening an audit. Now they had my side too. By week's end, Steve's business accounts were frozen. Investigators showed up at the office. Rachel's brokerage dropped her for compliance concerns. Jake posted a rant on Facebook about jealous losers trying to destroy hardworking families. And I was just getting started. Because Steve wasn't the only one who crossed a line. Rachel had secrets too, secrets she thought I'd never find. And I was about to uncover every single one. I didn't even have to dig that hard to find Rachel's secrets. She left a trail behind. Texts, emails, login info she never changed. Old habits. I still remembered the password to her Gmail. She used it for everything. At first, I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Then I searched for a name that had been stuck in my head, Mark Delaney. Mark was a mortgage broker she used to work with. Friendly guy. Always too friendly. The kind of guy who winked at her at family parties and called me big man with that fake grin. I never liked him, but I never had proof he was anything more than a flirt. Until now. I found emails. Flirty at first. Then personal. Then downright vulgar. One, dated 4 months before I lost my job, said, "If he's not taking care of you, you know I will. I'll get that place for us. Just say the word." Another, just weeks after I moved into the RV, "He's gone, right? You're free now. Don't chicken out." She replied, "I'm not chickening out. Just need to let things settle first. Trust me." That was it. The last nail. She was planning it. Before the layoff. Before the family meeting. She'd already made up her mind. I wasn't just an inconvenience. I was an obstacle. I saved everything. Screenshots, emails, timestamps. But I didn't confront her right away. I let it sit. I wanted her to feel safe again. I wanted her to think the storm had passed. Then, I sent an anonymous tip to Mark's employer. Told them about his personal relationship with a client, and how he might be using company time and resources to house hunt with her. I attached the emails. Made sure to CC their compliance department. Within a day, Mark's LinkedIn profile was gone. His work number disconnected. That same night, Rachel showed up again. This time, she was shaking. "You did something," she said. I shrugged. "You should have tried harder." Her eyes went wild. "What do you want from me? You want revenge? You want to ruin my life?" "You already ruined mine," I said. "You just didn't think I'd do anything about it." She didn't speak for a long time. Just stared at me. Then finally, almost a whisper, "I didn't think you had it in you." I didn't either. Not until they backed me into a corner. Now I wasn't just getting even. I was reclaiming every piece of myself they tried to erase. But I still wasn't done. Because now I had to make sure they'd never forget what they did. Next stop. The court system. Time to make it official. A week after Rachel's second visit to the RV, I filed a formal civil suit against Steve Bailey for identity theft, tax fraud, and defamation. My lawyer helped me put everything together: my forged signature, the fake consultant payments, the IRS notices, and a copy of the loan documents I'd co-signed years back that gave Steve access to my personal info. The case was airtight. It wasn't about money. It was about making it public. The local news picked it up. Small segment on WROC, local business owner accused of using son-in-law's identity for tax fraud. I watched it live in the RV, sipping black coffee. They showed Steve's office, then flashed my photo from an old employee directory. Rachel's name came up too, mentioned in relation to the ongoing investigation into her brokerage. Steve went quiet after that. No more threats. No more texts. I heard through an old coworker that he stopped showing up to his own office. His lawyer tried to contact mine, wanting to settle privately. My lawyer said we'd see them in court. Meanwhile, Jake and Natalie packed up and moved out of state. California, I think. Guess real estate was dead in Rochester for them now. But Rachel? She stayed. And she started calling. First it was voicemails. "I'm sorry. Let's just talk. We can fix this." Then texts. "I miss you. You don't have to go through with this." She even started showing up at my job. Just standing across the street like some lost kid. My boss asked if I wanted him to get a restraining order. I said no. Not yet. Because I had one more thing planned. A face-to-face meeting. Not to reconcile. Not to talk. But to give her something she could never return. I set it up at a neutral spot, a diner we used to go to before everything went south. She showed up in a coat that was too thin for the weather, makeup smudged, eyes red. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I brought a folder. Thick. Heavy. She sat down across from me. "Please," she started. "Please stop this. You've made your point." I slid the folder across the table. "This is everything I know. About you. About Steve. About Mark." She touched it, hesitated. "What is this?" "Leverage," I said. "Because I want one thing, and one thing only." She looked terrified. "What?" I leaned in. "I want you to admit what you did. In writing. All of it. And I want it notarized." She blinked. "Why?" "Because I'm not going to let you rewrite this later. I'm not going to let you tell your friends or some future boyfriend that I was lazy or difficult or draining. You don't get to control the story anymore." She started crying. "You're humiliating me." "No," I said. "You did that to yourself." I got up, left her there with the folder, and walked out into the cold. By the time I got back to the RV, she'd already texted me. Fine. You'll have it. And I knew she meant it. But I wasn't satisfied. Not completely. Because revenge wasn't just about payback. It was about making sure they never forgot who I was. And making damn sure they'd never sleep soundly again. Now it was time to finish it. 2 weeks after our diner meeting, I got a certified letter in the mail. It was from Rachel. Inside was a notarized, signed statement. 4 pages. A full confession. She admitted everything. That she had known about her father's tax games. That she had gone along with canceling my health insurance even though she knew I didn't have anywhere to go. That the family meeting was her idea. That she'd already been seeing Mark months before I lost my job, and that she manipulated things to make my exit clean and quiet, for their sake. It was all there. Black and white. Her signature at the bottom. My lawyer looked at it and whistled. This is gold. You could shut them down completely. But I wasn't sure I needed to anymore. The lawsuit against Steve was gaining traction. A court date was set. His business had all but crumbled. Reviews online trashed him. Former employees came out with their own stories. The IRS investigation was underway, and he'd already racked up penalties in the 6 figures. Rachel stopped showing up after that. I heard from a neighbor that she moved back in with her mom. Steve stopped going out altogether. Someone told me he'd started drinking heavy again. And me? I got a job offer from a regional logistics company based in Buffalo. Better pay than I ever had. Full benefits. They said they respected how I handled personal adversity. I took it. I moved out of the RV and into a small apartment not far from Lake Ontario. It wasn't much, but it was warm, quiet, and mine. I hung up one photo, me and Buster, from 2 summers ago. The last time things were simple. Then one night, I got a final email from Rachel. No subject line. Just a few sentences. You win. I hope it was worth it. You've ruined my father. You've destroyed this family. You'll be alone forever. I read it once. Twice. Then I deleted it. Because she was wrong. I wasn't alone. I had myself again. And they would never take that from me again. The court date finally came. Late summer, just before Labor Day. The courthouse in downtown Rochester was packed. Reporters, locals, a few former employees of Bailey Climate Services. I walked in wearing a suit I hadn't worn since my interview at Bingham, carrying nothing but a folder of evidence and my lawyer by my side. Steve sat across from me, swollen-faced, sunken eyes, his lawyer whispering in his ear. Rachel was behind him. She didn't look up once. When the judge read the charges, identity theft, fraud, falsifying documents, Steve barely flinched. But when they brought out the forged tax records with my name on them, he looked like a man drowning. I watched him break apart piece by piece. His lawyer tried to argue it was a misunderstanding, but the judge didn't buy it. The IRS reps were in the room. They were just waiting their turn. Verdict came after 2 hours. Guilty. Steve was fined over $250,000. His company was officially shut down. He faced a separate federal case for tax evasion. My civil suit landed too. I was awarded damages. More than I expected. Enough to start over properly. As we left the courtroom, Rachel followed me outside. She looked like a ghost of the woman I used to know. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something. I shook my head. We're done, I said. There's nothing left to say. Her eyes welled up. But I didn't care anymore. She had made her choice. And now I had made mine. I didn't come out of this clean. I lost years of my life. My pride. My sense of self. I spent nights in a freezing RV with no running water, wondering if I'd ever feel whole again. But I learned something. Sometimes people who claim to love you are only keeping you close because they know they can use you. Sometimes family isn't blood or marriage, it's respect. And sometimes, revenge is the only justice you'll ever get. I moved to Buffalo full-time, started my new job, and I'm good now. Better than good. I sleep through the night. I smile again. And I keep that folder. Rachel's confession, Steve's forged docs, all of it, in a locked drawer. Just in case I ever forget what survival really looks like. They thought I was the weak one. But I was just quiet. And now, they'll never forget me.